Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm really glad that you're here. Alright, today is going to be a really fun one. But before we get into the magic product review, if you're brand new here, my name's FiddlinJonny. It's my Fiddle channel and magic product review. And before I do any magic product review, I do a quick fiddle tune. Now, this is a tune I haven't played in maybe a bazillion years, but heard it recently and thought, let's play this on the channel. Alright, there we go. That's called the Wild Mountain Thyme. It's an old Scottish tune. Just really a pretty tune. Anyway, I probably should put more practice in it before I put it on here, but welcome! Let's get into today's release. And let's start by saying, they're back! Abstract Effects is back, boom! And they are releasing stuff again. And so, Bennie Chickering, who you may know, who's a great gaff maker and has released other products in the past, for which I've reviewed, has released something new called Flytrap. So this is a fun and interesting release. I have some thoughts on it that I think are going to be a little bit more detailed if you're considering this product, and I think may be helpful for you. So stick around and we'll get right into it. All right, let's do this. The Abstract Effects team are back. And their most recent release is Flytrap by Bennie Chickering. So I'm kind of excited for Abstract Effects. Abstract Effects is one of those magic companies that for a long time, like massive fan of a lot of their releases, purchased a lot of their releases historically. And then they seem to like whittle away for a while. Then they brought on Tyler Lunsford. Many of you probably know Tyler Lunsford if you watch magic product reviews. And I think he's brought in some new energy over there. And I think it's really good for the company. They've got a great leader over there in Max. And so anyway, Flytrap is their latest release. And I think the important thing here is this is a Bennie Chickering release. Bennie Chickering is a great gaff maker and has some great creative ideas, and this is just yet another example of that. With that said, I was going to go into some negative. I'll hold off on that until we get into this maybe a little bit more. All right, let's start with what the heck is this? So, what's the effect? And I kind of hate to say this because I think there's more effects than what it's sort of being advertised as. In the simplest way, this is a sandwich effect. And if you don't know what a sandwich effect is, a person's card is chosen and lost in the deck, and then suddenly you have two cards, and in this case, you would have two jokers, and the jokers will find your chosen card, and it'll end up being sandwiched between those two cards. That's in essence what this is. The main routine for this one is you have a spectator choose a card from the deck. They sign the card. If you want to have them sign it, they go ahead and sign it. It is lost into the deck. You hand the deck to your spectator, and they shuffle the cards up. You then have them dribble the cards, and with your two jokers, you insert the jokers to the cards as they're falling, and you're able to snap and catch your spectator's signed card. It's pretty magical. It looks really awesome and a wonderful visual presentation for a sandwich effect. So that's in essence what it is. However, with this gimmick, you can also be really creative and come up with other effects. I mean, you could simply have a card appear or their spectator's chosen card just sort of magically appear by shaking and having their card appear in the middle of it. Bennie Chickering does a wonderful routine that is like a 3-card Monty, or 4-card Monty in this case, type of effect, which I really liked. So there's multiple things that you can do with the gimmick that is included, and I think that's important because it's probably being more marketed as just sort of the sandwich effect, but I think it has a lot more potential than what you might see in initial teasers. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about what are you going to get. So they've done a great job on their packaging. It is this nice little sort of magnetic box here that you're going to get, and it's going to come with, first of all, a Magic the Gathering card. I know you were not expecting that and did not see that coming, but there is a routine that utilizes a Magic the Gathering card, and it's just that. It's not gimmicked or anything. That is included. You're also going to get your Gimmick, which is essentially a Joker that has been gimmicked specifically. And then you're going to get 2 tutorials. So this was released early in the year at Magic Live, and then so that was sort of pre-release, and then it was just released now, I think 2 weeks ago for everyone, so it's months later. So in that period, if you bought it at Magic Live, you got 1 tutorial, and in the interim they've created their sort of Big Beautiful tutorial, and that's included. So the Big Beautiful tutorial is 1 hour and 8 minutes in length. It's hosted on the Murphy's Magic video site, so you know that you can stream it or download it. And also you get this the initial pre-sale 13-minute video that is on there as well. So that's what you're getting. Let's now get into the instructions. And let me just say, Tyler Lunsford is working there, and he is doing the majority of this tutorial. And it's clear that Tyler's experience doing Magic product reviews and understanding what makes a good tutorial he has brought to this project. So hats off to Abstract Effects and having Tyler Lunsford do the tutorial on this. So he is now working over there and doing a great job. So Tyler's doing the main tutorial, done really well. And then you have Bennie Chickering, the creator of the actual gimmick, who's doing a tutorial as well. And his tutorial is focused on some routines that he has created, and then also focusing on making the actual gimmick. So if your gimmick breaks down, or you want to do routines that require using more than 1 Flytrap, you can make those additional gimmicks on there. And I'll go into more detail about that portion a little bit later. But I would have to say overall that the tutorial is done really, really well. And in my humble opinion, the Bennie Chickering section with the gimmicking is just par excellence. I've over the years seen a lot of different sort of card gaffing tutorials that are released on, like, here's how, if your gimmick breaks, here's how to make it, and it sort of goes through the card gaffing process, and they're all okay. I think this may be one of the best I've ever seen. Bennie does such a nice job of walking through, like, splitting cards. And if you've ever done card splitting, you know the challenges that exist there. He just does a really nice job of walking you through step by step the little nuances that he uses for it. And also, you know, I think he gives 3 different ways that you can make the Flytrap gimmick, from the super simple and easy, quick and dirty, to a more expensive and nicer, higher end gimmick. So you get all of that in there, and I think for me that was the gold on this release, mostly because it provides me with additional tools and skills as I move forward in terms of your Magic exploration. I think a lot of people are really going to like that aspect of it. There's a couple things on there too, like they bring in other ideas. If you're not familiar with Bizarro, Bizarro is a Las Vegas-based magician. He has some ideas in a presentation that's included in there. You're going to see live performances on there as well from both Bennie Chickering and from Tyler Lunsford on there, and those are all great and really nice. So let's get into some of the things that I think are the single most important thing on this, and that is, how is the gimmick? And this is a little more challenging. Like, it's not as simple just to say it's good or it's bad. I'm going to show it to you up close. All right, that's the gimmick. It's basically, it's a joker, right? And you can freely toss this around and everything else, and it's versatile. This is really nicely made. However, it is going to require care and feeding. So let me get into that. The care and feeding of your gimmick. It's a great gimmick. You are going to be rough on it, quite frankly. There is a move that you do in order to make your card appear. I have found that move knacky for myself. Not impossible, just knacky. And you're going to be bending this card quite significantly. And because you're bending this card, what I would say significantly, is then you're going to want to flatten it out and straighten it out. Here's the great thing about this, is that the tutorial addresses those issues and really addresses like the care and feeding of your gimmick. So I really appreciate it from a release perspective that it's acknowledged in the tutorial and addresses how to deal with it. And it will increase the life of your gimmick. Eventually your gimmick will wear out because you're kind of rough on it when you're using it for this routine. And thanks to Bennie Chickering, he teaches you how to make your own, and you can go ahead and make your own if you don't want to buy a new one. I'll talk about buying a new one when we get to the end. So all those things are addressed in there, and I really appreciate it. The other thing I would say, the knackiness, is you have to be able to hold your cards in a way that you just sort of do a move that looks a little bit like this. And because cards can be slippery and stuff, you want to make sure that you get just the right grip in the right places in order to have your card appear between the two of these. And I found that move hard at first and required more practice than I sort of had expected. I've seen it performed live and done perfectly, and probably even at times when performed less than ideally because it's a little bit knacky, your spectator doesn't notice that. Only you as the performer really notices it. So hats off to Abstract Effects and doing such a nice job with addressing all of the issues around the gimmick that really sort of take care of it. And at the end of the day, you just want to take good care of your gimmicks. All right. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the skill level. I would say this is an advanced beginner skill level. Yeah, I mean, this is the worst part, I think, for my reviews, but I don't know that it's exactly beginner. It's more advanced to beginner. There's no difficult slides in here. It's just requires a little bit of practice, I think. So, yeah. One thing I didn't mention, I don't think I mentioned this earlier about the tutorial piece, is that while you're going to get the routine that I mentioned at the beginning, there's 4 different routines on here. In my opinion, the one that I liked the best was the one done by Bennie Chickering, in which he has created, he brings in and uses 2 Flytrap gimmicks for it. So rather than just using 1 Flytrap, he uses 2 Flytraps. So you would have to make your own or buy a second. I'd say just make your own. Y'all can do it. And he does a sort of a 4-card Monty style routine that just is right up my alley and something that I really like. I am not a fan of sandwich routines, so it's kind of surprising that I'm doing this, and you'll hear me saying like very positive things about it. If you like sandwich routines, boy, you'll like this. This is great. I find sandwich routines just bore the heck out of me, and they're not something I perform. I don't do any sandwich routines because I find them boring. I have not been able to come up with a pattern and an engagement that I like. With that said, this gimmick really lets you quite easy be able to do sandwich effects or appearance of cards between your 2 jokers. But the thing that I liked was this non-sandwich effect, which was a a Monty routine done by Bennie Chickering on here that I liked and really spoke to me, and is one that I would really like to go out and to perform. So, and the most difficult thing on there would be like an Elmsley count. So that's the most difficult sleight on there. So which everyone hopefully is practicing their Elmsley counts out there and able to do that. All right, so I should also talk about, like, when we talk about skill level, here's the things that no one's going to tell you in ad copy. If you're doing the main routine where you're just dribbling the cards down and then you're reaching in and you're grabbing their card between your two jokers, you have to make a decision. Are you going to dribble the cards, or is your spectator going to dribble the cards? I personally found that it's too hard for me to dribble the cards onto like a table and then with my other hand reach in and grab the card. I prefer to have my spectator dribble the cards down and then do the grab. But you will find spectators are not that great with handling cards. You may have to demonstrate for them a bit like how to dribble cards for you. And so if you want to do that, there's other ways that you can do the appearance of the card between it as well, which are addressed in the tutorial. But those are some of the things to think about, like, oh, that looks great. But if you're having your spectators dribble the cards, you may need to show them how to dribble cards. All right, so let's talk about some of what I've mentioned some of the pros and cons already. I think if you like sandwich effects, you're gonna like this. I like the fact that the gimmick really does the bulk of the work for you and makes sandwich tricks that much easier to do. I love the additional routines that are on here, and that, in my opinion, I like the additional routines probably better than the original routine. The Bennie Chickering section is where the real gold is in this, as it teaches you how to split cards and create the gimmick yourself, from a very simple version to a much more nicer, fancier version on there. And I really liked his ideas and presentations and his promotion of, hey, learn how to make gimmicks. You'll really appreciate that section. So if I had to talk about the cons, I've mentioned it a little bit already. I find the move that you have to do is a little bit knacky and requires practice. You have to care and feed for your gimmick. You're going to be rough on it, and eventually it's going to wear out and you'll need to make your own. So just make sure that, you know, like, you're going to be rough with it. It can take a beating. It seems like that's not going to be the case when you first pull it out of the packaging. You go, this is not going to last 5 minutes. Trust me, it will definitely last. It's well constructed. But eventually cards wear out, so you're going to need to make your own, or you could buy a new one. When I think about who's going to like this, I think people who like sandwich effects, close-up card performers, and walk-around card performers, I think will like it as well. I think it's nice for table hopping and close-up magic. Now the cost on this is ridiculously good in this. And this is oftentimes when I talk about cost, it's usually up to you whether it's a good value or not, and it's not really for me to decide. I do think in this instance, the cost is $25 US. I think that's a great value for a handmade gimmick that you're going to get that's really well made. And then the additional piece where I had mentioned the card gaffing section is good. That I think the value on this is really, really good. And ultimately, if you don't want to replace your Flytrap by making it yourself, at the cost of $25, someone else makes it for you to perfection, then it's just a great, great value in my humble opinion. All right, I think that's all I have to say about Flytrap. For those who like gimmicks, who like sandwich routines, and like learning how to split cards and make the gimmick, you're going to like this release. And you're going to find that from a value perspective, cost perspective, I think it's very reasonable. You can get it at Abstract Effects and at any Murphy's Magic retailer, as it is also, I believe, distributed through Murphy's Magic. If you purchased this, like maybe you were an early person who got it at Magic Live and you've been using it for a while, leave the comments down below and tell me what you think of it and some of the presentation ideas maybe that you've used with it. And anyone who else has purchased it recently, leave your thoughts. I think those are always helpful for other folks who are considering this product and having it on your radar screen. I think it should be on your radar screen and one of those things for you all to consider. And if you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit the like button, and go ahead and subscribe. It's always appreciated when you do that. And thank you so much to everyone who has already subscribed. All right, I'm FiddlinJonny, and remember to keep fiddling around with your magic. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.